Good morning, welcome, God. Uh, Let me do some few introduction to you, and we can start today's session. OK， 然后大家早上好，那我是梁慧，那欢迎大家今天来参加我们《预览下之书》的这个讲座。今天是我们这个进化跟启示相结合的第4场讲座，那由我们的老朋友 God 教授来跟大家做这个 session。那大家应该对教授不是陌生了，对不对？我们今天都是第6场跟教授的这个互动。那之前他跟我们谈过了中国的道，然后也跟我们聊过了这些关于这整个启示的部分，然后我们也讲了4场的这个第4场的这个进化跟启示。那一开始其实我自己在看到这个题目的时候，我其实没有太有知道教授要说些什么，可是经过这几场这个讲座的分享之后，慢慢的我也开始去思索，我们读了那么多的这些启示，究竟跟我们的进化，所谓的人种的进化或是灵魂的进化有什么样的关联？那教授从一个比较整个预览下介绍给我们的这整个比较宽广的角度，然后从各个的角度切入去跟我们分享这个部分，我相信大家都在这整个讲座中有很多的这个互动跟学习。那今天我们继续来讲我们的第4场，那也欢迎同学在整个互动的过程有任何问题，可以在我们的对话框把你的问题留下来，然后教授也会在每个 session 中间会有一些 break 让大家去问问题。那你也会发现，其实除了讲座本身，同学们跟教授之间的互动其实也是我们非常收获很多的一些地方，所以大家可以尽量把你的问题提出来，然后我相信这样子对大家的收获来讲都是更深的。 OK， 那简单的介绍一下，教授是我们现在预览下基金会的董事暨财务长，然后他本身也是内华达大学的哲学系的教授，然后我之前在去年也有机会去参加过教授一个宗教学的一个课程。那他的学习，尤其他还谈到很多像东方的这些宗教，然后他也讲了孔夫子啊、道啊，然后我们庄子的这些学说，其实很多的部分其实都是在预览下之书的这个带领，然后大家一起来探讨这些更深邃的一些内容。那我就不去特别的多说什么，我们就把时间交给教授。 OK, we can start our session. I just introduction your primary session and tell all the friend today's topic, and welcome God here. Okay.
Karen, thank you so much. And I will, in my broken Chinese, say Nin Hao. Thank you so much, all of you, my brothers and sisters. I am hoping in the next year or two to bring a number of friends to come to Taiwan, and maybe we can meet there. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
So I want to share that over the summer, I had a wonderful experience with my dear wife, and I'm going to share screen to introduce you to my dear wife.
Eric， 你要不要稍微翻译一下？
We celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. I met her when I was 15 and she was 14. We didn't get married then, but we've known each other for a very long time.
OK， 所以高尔刚才就是说，他希望在接下来1、2年会带一些他的朋友，就是一起来台湾，在这边做些讲座。他说呢，相信会是一件非常美好的事情。然后他要跟我们大概讲一下他这个夏天跟他亲爱的老婆有一段美好的经历，就是他刚才秀给我们看的照片。他都说他跟他老婆已经结婚40年了，然后他说他在15岁的时候就认识他的老婆，那时候他14岁，然后他们认识了很久了。OK， 好。
So my wife and I started a clinic for people who have no health care, dental care, or mental care. And tomorrow we're having a grand party for our clinic to raise funds.
刚刚说他跟他老婆就是在他住的地方，就是内华达那边，拉斯维加斯那边，他们就有一个就是为没有办法接收一些医疗，像牙医啊，或是 精神护理啊、医疗保健这些人，他们开了一个类似那种免费的诊所，他们明天会有一个party。
And so we're reminded with our healthcare clinic that we have biological roots. And tonight we will talk about those biological roots. But most importantly, we are spiritual beings having a biological experience.
他说，因为他们有这个医疗诊所，所以他们都了解到我们都是一些基于生物根源的一些生物这样子。然后今天我们就是会讨论这个有关生物的这些根源。然后最重要的就是说，我们虽然是生物，可是我们是有灵性在我们身上的。
So I will bring up our presentation tonight. Should I do it, Eric, or do you want to bring it up?
No, you can do it just like before.
Okay.
God, wait a moment. Let me introduction Eric and reach out to everyone. 大家我补充一下哈，今天我们的翻译是由 Eric 来帮我们贤德帮我们做翻译，然后一样是由我们的约翰夏之书中文版的那个主要的翻译者亚楠帮我们来做即席的这些补充。那我们谢谢贤德跟亚楠今天的共同参与。OK。
So we know that there may be as many as 1 trillion galaxies, each with near 100 to 200 billion stars, and that we as a planet are not alone.
就说我们这个宇宙是非常非常浩大的，我们大概有1万多个星系，然后有100到2000亿个恒星那么多，就是我们地球并不是一个孤独的一个星球，在这个星际里面。
And the great scientist Albert Einstein said that the most important question is, do we live in a friendly universe?
就是伟大的科学家爱因斯坦提出一个问题，就说，我们要问我们自己，我们是不是生活在一个非常友好的宇宙里面？
The answer that we have is that indeed we do live in a friendly universe, and we're given that answer in 3 ways. First, we live in a universe that has law, physics, chemistry, biology. Second, we live in a universe in which there's an indwelling spark of spiritual divinity within each of us that we can personally experience. And third, we live in a universe in which there is revelation.
就是我们的确是生活在一个友好的世界，然后这可以从3方面得到这个答案。就是说，第一个，我们是活在一个有律法的、有化学啊、物理啊、生物这些律法的一个宇宙里面。然后第二个就是说，我们身上我们都有一些灵性的火花，就是我们都可以感受到这个灵性的火花。然后
Go ahead.
对，然后第3个就是说，我们可以亲身的体验跟他的互动这样子。
And revelation comes in many forms. The revelation of God is an indwelling presence of divine unconditional love.
刚才的第3点应该说，我们是活在一个有启示的里面，然后说启示有许多形式，然后我们可以收到就是由上帝这个无条件的爱，然后我们可以收到这些启示，对不对？
The revelation of God is also the appearance of many sons and daughters who have appeared on this planet to bring us spiritual insight.
就是神的这个启示，也透过许多他的儿女，然后在这个世界上传递给我们。
And the revelation of God is also the presence of many angels and spiritual beings, indeed, as many as there are of us here on the planet who are invisibles. And as Confucius said, the invisibles are important.
就说除了刚才说那些的话，还有许多天使在这边帮助我们，然后他们是我们看不到的。他说孔子有曾经提到过，就说这些看不到的东西也是非常非常重要的。
And so we learn that evolution and revelation work together.
所以我们学到就是说，这个进化跟启示是一起相结合在一起工作的。
So this is the three ways in which revelation comes. First, the Father's plan of evolutionary ascension, which is both biological and spiritual progression toward perfection.
就说这个进化的计划是从3方面的话，第一个就是说上父进化性的扬升计划，就是我们趋向完美的生物性和灵性的进展。
And second is the Son's plan of revelatory bestowal, which is the advent of teachers like Melchizedek, Jesus, future teachers.
第二个就是说有关上子的启示性的赠与计划，然后上父的计划因为许多导师的到来而更加加强，例如有麦基舍德，然后耶稣，还有许多未来的导师。
And third is the infinite Spirit's plan of mercy ministry, which is the indwelling presence of adjutant mind spirits, the Holy Spirit, and angels.
第3个方面就是从无限之灵的仁慈的侍奉计划，就是包含了辅助心智之灵，然后圣灵跟天使的灵在。
And so we learn that the Tao gives rise to one, the one gives rise to two, the two gives rise to three, and the three gives rise to everything in the universe.
所以从道我们学过一生二，二生三，三生万物，就是我们道家也有提过。
So first, the plan of progressive attainment. This is the plan of evolutionary ascension, a program unreservedly accepted by the Eternal Son when he concurred in the Father's proposal, let us make mortal creatures in our own image. This provision for upstepping the creatures of time, biologically and spiritually, helping them to become more perfect in evolutionary function and capacity in relation to their ancestors, involves the Father's bestowal of the indwelling presence of the thought adjuster and the endowing of material creatures with the prerogatives of personality, including free will.
就是这边我们提到，就是有关万有之父的进化性扬升计划。就当永恒之子赞同父的提议的时候，他毫无保留的接受了这个计划，让我们照着我们自己的形象创造凡人受造物。这一提升时间性受造物的规定，主要是在生物上跟灵性上帮助他们，使他们在进化的运作与能力上比他们祖先更优秀。这涉及了父的思想调整的赠予，以及对物质性受造物人格特权的赋予。然后他刚才提到说，这包括我们的自由意志。
When the mortal nature has been upstepped, made more perfect by the addition of the nature of the material sons of God, as Urantia races were in a measure advanced by the bestowal of Adam and Eve, then is the way better prepared for the Spirit of truth to cooperate with the indwelling thought adjuster to bring forth the beautiful harvest of the character fruits of the Spirit.
这里提到说，当凡人本质因为添加了神之物质性种植的本质而得以提升，就说变得更好的时候，比他祖先更好的时候，就如同预览下各族因为亚当的赠予而在某种程度上得到提升。这个是为了真理之灵的内住与思想调整者的合作做好更好的准备，从而带来属灵之品格的收获。
The mortals of a normal world do not experience constant warfare between their biological and spiritual natures. They are confronted with the necessity of climbing up from the animal levels of existence to the higher planes of spiritual living. But this ascent is more like undergoing an educational training when compared with the intense conflicts of Urantia mortals in this realm of divergent material and spiritual natures.
这里提到主要就是我们预览下发生了更多的冲突。他说，一个正常世界的凡人不会经历肉体跟灵性本质间不断的冲突，他们会面临动物性存在层次攀升到至高灵性生存层面的一些必然性。但是当他们与预览下的凡人比较起来，在这个物质层面跟灵性本质相背离的这种强烈冲突比较起来，他们的扬升更像是经历一场那种教育的训练。
And so if you experience this life as a little difficult, it's okay, because we all do.
他说，如果你感觉到你的生活是蛮困苦的话，他说不用担心，因为我们大家都是这样子。
So superior seraphim, which are angels, receive their name not because they are in any sense qualitatively superior to other orders of angels, but because they are in charge of the higher activities of this local universe.
这里提到说，当我们提到这个较高类的炽天使，他们得到他的名字，就是所谓较高，并不是因为他们在任何品质上面优于其他类别的天使。较高完全只是因为他们掌管这个地方宇宙较高层次的活动。
Angels are superior to all of us in spiritual status.
天使优于我们，它是指在灵性的地位上优于我们。
Variety is indispensable to the opportunity for wide functioning of natural selection, differential survival of superior strains.
多样性对于自然选择、优良血统的差别性续存的广泛运作是必不可少的。
As we will learn, these are the very principles of evolution.
就是当我们学习的话，我们会发现这是一些最主要的进化原则。
So consider the following inevitability. Is evolution the way of God's plan of evolutionary ascension, the plan of progressive attainment, desirable? Then must that way forever follow the way of superior achievement and evolutionary development from the bottom to the top.
就进化，就是说万有之父的进化性扬升计划的道路，以及渐进性达成计划是可取的吗？如果是的话，那么这条道路必须永远遵循较高达成及进化发展之道，从下而上。
The critical point is that never does the word superior within the revelation suggest qualitative superiority or intrinsic value. It refers to function, extrinsic value. That some angels have higher status does not diminish the love that God has for all angels. The universal Father's love is equal for every ascendant being, for every one of us, be they a divine counselor, a very high being, or a primitive son or daughter from an evolutionary planet.
这里讲到一个非常重要的一点，就是说启示中，当他提到优良这一词的时候，它永远不是指质量上的优良，就是说不是指内在价值。当他提到优良，它是指职能性的优良，就是所谓的外在价值。说天使，一些天使拥有较高地位的天使，这件事情并不会减少父亲对所有天使的爱。万有之父的爱对每一扬升存有都是平等的，无论他们是较高 神性类别的神性顾问，还是来自进化星球的原始儿女。
So this distinction of intrinsic versus extrinsic value is very important. Intrinsic value has traditionally been thought to lie at the heart of ethics. Philosophers use a number of terms to refer to such value. The intrinsic value of something is said to be the value that that thing has in itself for its own sake, or as such, zran, or in its own right. Extrinsic value is value that is not intrinsic or functional value.
这里提到说，这个内在与外在价值，这个叙述是非常非常重要的。他说，传统上内在价值被认为是伦理学的核心，哲学家使用许多术语来指称这种价值。事物的内在价值被认为是该事物的本身，或是为了其自身的原因，或是就其本身而言，或是说以其本身的权利所具有的价值。而外在价值是指所有非内在的价值，就是说所谓的职能性的价值。
So every one of us here tonight has infinite intrinsic value. God loves us infinitely and eternally.
就是说，今晚在这里的每一个人都有无限的内在价值，然后神是无限的永恒的爱着我们。
Our job as brothers and sisters is to help each other feel that infinite value in their lives as they go through this difficult life.
就说我们作为彼此兄弟姐妹，我们最重要就是我们要互相帮助，然后在这个我们目前共同经历这个非常困难的时候，让我们大家都感受到我们自己的内在价值。
So, in relation to the topic that we've been talking about, race, it's very important. When the Urantia book speaks of superior races, it is not referring to the intrinsic value of those races.
这跟我们在讨论的种族这个议题的时候非常重要，就是说，当预览下之书谈到优良种族的时候，它并不是指那些种族的内在价值。
So the variety of all 6 colored races enhance the process of natural selection. The evolution of 6 or of 3, sometimes on a planet there are only 3 colored races, while seeming to deteriorate the original endowment of the red man, provides certain very desirable variations in mortal types and affords an otherwise unattainable expression of diverse human potentials. These modifications are beneficial to the progress of humanity as a whole, provided that they are subsequently upstepped by the imported Adamic or violet race.
这里提到就是6个或是3个有色种族的计划。他说有些星球是3个种族。他说尽管看似会令红色人种的原初禀赋有所退化，但却在凡人的类型上提供了某些非常可取的变异，并提供了一种原本不可能达到的多样性人类潜能的表达。倘若他们后来依靠输入的亚当种族，或是说紫色人种而得到提升的话，那么这种改良对于整个人类的进步是有益的。
So the goal on an evolutionary planet is to bring variety and move through that variety, to move toward one race of people that is enhanced by all the colored races.
就说我们这个进化最终就是希望通过不同的种族，然后最终走向一个种族，然后这个一个种族就是拥有所有各个颜色的类似是综合起来的各种优点。
So we learn that diversity is a very important, it is a primary principle that it governs the universe.
我说这个变异性是非常重要的，这个多样性是非常重要的，在整个支配宇宙的主要原则里面。
But underneath that diversity, there is a unity, which is the experience of God's infinite love for each of us.
在这个多样性之下，还有一个叫做统一性。这个统一性就是神的无限永恒的爱。
So here is a very important quote. And when the Revelation Commission created the Urantia book, they are the ones who capitalize words. So in paper 115, it says, while infinity is on the one hand unity, on the other, it is diversity without end or limit.
就是接下来这个是非常预览一下非常重要的一个引述，就是这些大写的字都是当初写这本书原始就让它特别大写起来。就说无限性在一方面是统一性，而在另一方面它又是没有终结或限制的多样性。
So here are some quotes from the Urantia book about these three primary principles that govern the entire universe. And these are confirmed by biologists and physicists and chemists. First is unity, second diversity, and third is individuation. So first, God is unity from paper 56. Second, God is also diversity without end or limit, paper 115. And third, individuation, which means the quest for perfection, be you perfect, even as I am perfect. In love and in mercy, the messengers of paradise have carried this divine message down through the ages and out through the universe, even to such lowly animal origin creatures as the human races of Urantia.
刚才提到说，以下这些是预览下关于支配整个宇宙3个主要原则的一些引述，然后这些都得到一些生物学家、物理学家跟化学家的证实。那第一个就是56章所提到的统一性，神是统一体；第二个是115章所提到的多样性，没有终结或限制的多样性；第三个就是个性化，追求完美。就是在第1章提到，你们要完美，一如我之完美。天堂信使们怀有爱与仁慈，将这一神的劝诫历代而下往外传遍诸多宇宙，甚至传向如预览下的人类这般有着动物来源的低微受造物。
So this magnificent and universal injunction that goes out to all the worlds of time and space to strive for the attainment of the perfection of divinity is our first duty and should be the highest ambition and joy of all the struggling creature creation of the God of perfection. This possibility of the attainment of divine perfection is the final and certain destiny of all of our eternal spiritual progress.
这边提到这一努力达到神性完美的壮丽而又普世性指令，是完美之神的所有奋斗之受造物的第一职责，也应是其最高抱负。这一达至神性完美的可能性，是所有人类永恒灵性进展之最终和必然的天命。
So these three themes, unity, diversity, individuation,
所以这三件事情就是我们刚才提到了这个多样统一跟个体性。
So you've all heard of Bill of Rights, a Bill of Rights, that people have a Bill of Rights. So I've taken these three themes, and I believe there are only 3 articles in the universe's Bill of Rights.
就是我们都听过这个权利宣言，然后所以卡尔教授就采取了这个3个主要的主题来当做这个宇宙的权利宣言。
The first, in unity, is the right to be loved unconditionally.
第一个是统一性，就是说无条件被爱的权利，就是爱心。
The second, diversity, is the right to belong compassionately, mercy.
第二个是多样性，慈悲归属的权利，然后仁慈。
And the third, individuation, is the right to become, in a hope-filled way, what you are intended to become. Ministry.
第三个个性化，就是说以充满希望的方式成为的权利，成为你想要成为的，就是追求完美，然后是侍奉。
So our primary work on this planet as human beings is to experience the unconditional love of God for each of us and to minister to each other, to help each other to become our best selves.
就是作为人类，我们在这个星球的主要工作就是要体验上帝对我们无条件的爱，然后我们每个人都要互相的帮助彼此，让我们都成为更好的自己，然后还要去从事侍奉。
So I want to just stop there for a second and see if there are any questions.
就现在我们先暂停一下，看大家有没有什么问题要提问的。
Oh, I see Cindy. Yes, according to the Urantia book, Jesus did have a biological father, Joseph, and his biological mother was Mary. And she did get pregnant, but the mystery of the incarnation is how Jesus got involved in that egg and sperm.
Okay. Thank you. So sounds like he was born the same way as Buddha was born. So they have a human action and then the spirit comes into.
Yes, like Buddha, he was fully divine and fully human.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
You bet, Cindy.
I read that paragraph a few times and wasn't quite sure.
Yes, good question. Good question.
And I was trying to type, but as I'm on this, do you mind I ask another question?
Please, this is a time for questions.
Yeah, so it talk about Adam and Eve and also Melchizedek. So their birth wasn't like our from baby, then from like pregnant baby and growing. So they just descended some way by high tech of universal.
Yes. Yeah. Universal
And then-
high tech. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just disappear.
And then they just disappeared.
Yeah, and how many other people landed on Earth and departed that way?
Well, there are 5 major revelations to the planet. The first one was 500,000 years ago. There was a group of 100 invisible beings who came to the planet to try to give us better biology and better culture and better spirituality.
So
By the
that
way,
was before
Eric,
Adam Eve.
Eric, do you want to translate at all what we're doing?
Yeah, sure. 就是刚才的问题是说，哎，这个耶稣的出生是不是也是在生物学，就是根据书里面，他也是就是真正的母亲玛利亚这样生出来的。然后 God 就是说，对，是没有错，就是重点就是说看 看这个耶稣是怎么参与这个精子与卵子的结合的。他说就像是佛陀一样，他也就是真正一个人，就是他经历所有人的出生，从婴儿开始长大，这样都经历所有的人。然后刚才有提到，就是有关是不是有关多少神类似耶稣的人这样子降临到我们的地球上，是不是这个问题？然后他说是不是用某些宇宙的高科技降临到我们地球，然后又突然消失了，然后就说到底有多少类似这样子的人？那高尔的教授是回答说，大概有5个重大的启示嘛，就是我们之前提过有5个重大启示。第一个重大启示就是大概在10万年前，有一群就是大概100个隐形生物来到这个地球，就试图教导我们一些生物学啊，更好的一些文化跟一些理性。Okay.
Thank you, Eric. And yes, Cindy, after that first revelation came the second, which was Adam and Eve, which was 37,000 years ago. And after Adam and Eve and the first revelation didn't go well, then Melchizedek came 4,000 years ago, and he did a pretty good job. He actually sent teachers all over the planet, and as a result of sending those teachers, we have Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, Hinduism, so many traditions emerged because of his teaching. And then after Melchizedek came Jesus, and after Jesus came the Urantia book, the 5th epical revelation.
说在刚才第一个启示之后，就是到了第二个就是有关亚当跟夏娃，大概是在37000年左右吧，就是亚当夏娃来。然后可是就像我们之前提过，第一次跟第二次的进化启示都没有那么的顺利，然后就来了，应该是墨基色德天使圣团就来了，然后他派了很多老师到地球各地去，就像耶稣啊，像佛陀啊。什么印度教，就是许多的老师，然后这个方面那时候我们做的还不错，然后接下来就是刚才第三个是没有耶稣，然后接下来第4起源就是到了耶稣，然后我们就知道这个基督教，然后第五次元的启示就是我们现在在谈论这个预言下之书。
And so Jesus honored all the great traditions. He and a young lad from India studied Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, Confucianism. They studied Judaism when they were in Egypt in the library, the great library of Alexandria.
就是耶稣那时候就是非常的广纳各个宗教，就是他会研读各个，不管是我们东方的啊，或是佛教，或是印度教，然后好像说那时候在埃及的亚历山大图书馆，我不是很确定是谈什么，是不知道在那边研究，还是说那边收集了很多东西这样子。So God, you said in the Egypt, the library, what happened there? Is the collection there, or they study there?
They studied there at the great library. It had books from all over the world on all the great religions. Paper 131.
所以刚才是说耶稣是在那个埃及的亚历山大图书馆，他说那边有来自世界各地的各种宗教方面的书，所以他们是在那边做研究。
So, any other questions before we move on?
还有其他问题吗？还是我们就先继续？
So, Gard, can I clarify? So the 5 waves of teachers is a combination of God way, landing on the earth, and the human way of giving birth on the earth.
Yes, and that's a very good point, Cindy. That's bringing evolution and revelation together.
Okay, so there's some I think stories talk about Egyptian the ancient Egyptians. So some of them came from like a God way. Is that true?
This I don't know. The Urantia book does not tell us everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Good question. Okay, so can we carry on, Eric?
Yeah, I think we can. Yes.
Okay, so write your questions down and we will have another 1 or 2 times for questions.
刚才说你们可以把问题写下来，我们等一下还会继续有时间讨论问题。
So evolution and revelation, as Cindy said, biology moving up and divinity moving down work together. So why is race so important in evolutionary progress? On an evolutionary planet, our mind emerges from the physical soil of heredity. Spiritual progress is dependent upon the progress of mind attainment. Our becoming is dependent upon evolutionary progress. The Urantia book says matter, which is the brain, mind, which is more than the brain, and spirit work together to help each of us.
就是刚才有提到说，就是为什么种族这么重要？就是我们生物学的人，我们就往上，然后可是神灵就会降临。那这边提到说，种族为什么在进化过程中这么重要？在一个进化的星球上，心智从遗传的物质土壤中出现，灵性进展取决于心智达成的进展。我们所要成为的取决于进化的进展。物质就是说我们的头脑，那心智就是更超越我们的头脑。属灵就是要让这两者一起合作。
So heredity or DNA is very important to the evolution of our spiritual being.
就是遗传或者这 DNA 对我们这个灵性的演化进化是非常非常的重要的。
So in the Urantia book, there are 3 mighty levers to culture. Much social improvement will immediately result from the intelligent, wise, wrong way, and patient manipulation of these acceleration factors of cultural progress. First, biologic renovation of the racial stocks, the selective elimination of inferior human strains. This will tend to eradicate many mortal inequalities. Second, educational training of the increased brain power, which will arise out of such biologic improvement. And third, religious quickening of the feelings of mortal kinship and brotherhood. Religion is the mighty lever that lifts civilization from chaos, but it is powerless apart from the fulcrum of sound and normal mind resting securely on sound and normal heredity.
这边提到说文化的三大杠杆，对于这些文化进步的加速因素，进行明智的、有智慧的及耐心的操作，将立即带来许多社会的进步。那第一个杠杆就是说，种族血统的生物革新，次等人类血统的选择性移除，这将有助于提升，有助于根除许多凡事的不平等。第二个杠杆是说，对这种生物改善所引起的脑力增加所进行的教育培训。第三个是说，对凡人亲属关系与兄弟情谊之情感的宗教复苏。宗教是能将文明从混乱中提升出来的强有力杠杆，但是若是离开了健康而又正常的心智的支撑的话，它将是无能为力的。而心智又是稳固依赖于健康而又正常的遗传性。
So I want to be very clear about number 1. I think I shared in a previous presentation my niece, Nicole, who's 32, who has the mentality of a 3-year-old. You may know somebody like this. Her father and her mother decided that they would clip her tubes so she could not reproduce. This is what the Urantia book means by the elimination of inferior human strains. To thoughtfully and intelligently look at DNA and say, is this going to be good for Nicole and her children, or is this not?
就说第一点就是刚才想要再强调一下，就是说，他之前在演讲中有分享过他的子女，妮可，他是32岁了，可是他只有大概3岁左右的一个心智状态。所以你们可能会也认识类似的人，然后他的父亲母亲就会决定应该是剪掉他的，就是有关应该是输卵管之类的，就是所以他们就会仔细去检验他的 DNA， 然后就是他们会做出深思熟虑的一个决定，就是说怎样是对妮可跟他的孩子是最好的，所以他们就会做出这个决定。Okay.
So again, God loves my niece Nicole unconditionally, and I love my niece Nicole with all my heart, but she does not have sound and normal heredity, and therefore it is wise that it not be allowed to progress.
就是刚才要说，就是他的子女妮可，就说神是无条件的爱他的，然后 God 他本身也是全心全意的爱着他的子女妮可，但是我们必须要承认，就是他们有健全正常的遗传，所以他们必须要做出不让他继续繁殖下去的这个决定。
So what is our role in advancing these three mighty levers of culture?
就是我们在推进文化的这3个强大杠杆上所扮演的角色是什么？
So human intellect is rooted in the material origin, the brain, of the animal races. With the advancing evolution of an inhabited planet and the further spiritualization of its inhabitants, additional spiritual influences may be received by such mature personalities.
这边提到人类的智力是根植于动物种族的物质性起源，就是大脑。随着一个有居民星球的日益进化及其居民的进一步灵性化，这些成熟的人格体可能会接受到一些额外的灵性的影响。
It was a source of great regret to the life carriers who brought life to our planet 550 million years ago that our special efforts to modify intelligent life on Urantia should have been so handicapped by the tragic perversions beyond our control. The Caligastia betrayal, the first epical revelation, and the Adamic default, the second epical revelation.
就说这边提到生命运载者，好像说在大概5.5亿年前为我们星球带来一些生命。他说，对于生命运载者的遗憾，就是说我们在月染下上改良智能生命所做的特别努力，因超出我们控制以外的悲剧性导错而受到了极大的阻碍。这里讲到的悲剧性导错，就是说卡利加夏的背叛和亚当的违约。
So a lot of our confusion on the planet is that most people don't know about the first and second epical revelation. So there is no context to our understanding of our current difficulties.
就是我们在目前在这个星球上很多困惑，就是说我们大部分人其实都不知道第一跟第二纪元启示带给我们什么东西，所以我们现在面临到目前的问题的时候，我们并不了解它的背景。
So the problems associated with human existence on this planet are impossible to understand without a knowledge of certain great epochs of the past, notably the occurrence and consequences of the planetary rebellion, the first epoch of revelation. Although this upheaval did not seriously interfere with the progress of organic evolution, it did markedly modify the course of social evolution and of spiritual development. The entire superphysical history of the planet was profoundly influenced by this devastating calamity.
这也就是提到一些背景，就是说，如果不了解过去某些伟大纪元，尤其是行星反叛发生的后果，便不可能了解预览下与人类存在的相关问题。尽管这场动荡并没有严重干扰生物进展、生物进化的进展，但它却显著了改变了社会演变和灵性发展的进程。这行星的整个超物质层面的历史受到这场毁灭性灾难的深刻影响。我这边刚才讲的这个行星的反叛，就是说第一启示纪元的发生的悲剧。
So the Adamic default, the second epochal revelation, all in all, there probably never was a more disheartening miscarriage of wisdom on any planet in all of our universe. But it is not surprising that these missteps occur in the affairs of evolutionary universes. We are a part of a gigantic creation, and it is not strange that everything does not work in perfection. Our universe was not created in perfection. Perfection is our eternal goal, not our origin.
这里提到就是亚当的违约，也就是刚才所谓的第二纪元启示的失败。然后亚当的违约，总而言之，在整个内巴达顿的任何一个星球上，可能没有比这更令人沮丧的智慧流产的。但这些失误出现在进化性宇宙的事物中，并不令人感到惊讶。我们是一个巨大创造的一部分，并非一切都完美运作，这一点都不奇怪。我们的宇宙不是以完美方式创造的，完美是我们永恒的目标，不是我们的起源。
Your world still continues to pursue an irregular and difficult career as a result of the double tragedy of a rebellious planetary prince and a defaulting material son. Even the bestowal of Jesus on Urantia did not immediately set aside the temporal consequences of these serious blunders in the earlier administration of the world.
这里提到，由于一位反叛的行星君王，就是第一纪元启示，和一位违约的物质性之子的双重悲剧，你们世界仍继续追求一个毫无规律的曲折神来。即使基督麦克尔就是耶稣在预览下上的赠语，也未能立即消除这些在较早期世界管理中的严重失误所造成的暂时性的后果。
There are no competent judges to determine genetic fitness.
就是我们并没有一个适任的审判者或法官来决定，就是遗传性的适应或不适应。
The planetary prince and the material son, with other suitable planetary authorities, pass upon the fitness of the reproducing strains. The difficulty of executing such a radical program on Urantia today consists in the absence of competent judges to pass upon the biologic fitness or unfitness of the individuals of your world races.
这边提到行星君王和物质性之子会与其他适当的行星当权者们一起对各种 繁殖血统的适应性做出鉴定。但是在预览下上实行这一个彻底计划的困难度是在于我们缺少适任的审判者去鉴定你们这个世界上种族的个体生物的适应性和不适应性。
For my sister and her husband, it was pretty clear in the case of my niece Nicole of what should be done.
就是对于她的妹妹或是跟她的丈夫来讲，就是她对她子女妮可的情况下，他们非常非常清楚他们应该做什么样的决定。
So this is a story about Jesus and genetics. At last they reached Naples and felt they were not far from their destination, Rome. Ganid, who was the Indian father who traveled with Jesus, they had hired Jesus as an interpreter. Ganid had much business to transact in Naples, and aside from the time Jesus was required as an interpreter, he and Ganid, Ganid's son, spent their leisure visiting and exploring the city. Ganid was becoming adept at citing those who appeared to be in need. They found much poverty in this city and distributed much money. But Ganid never understood the meaning of Jesus's words when, after he had given a coin to a street beggar, he refused to pause and speak comfortingly to the man. Said Jesus, "Why waste words upon one who cannot perceive the meaning of what you say? The Spirit of the Father cannot teach and save one who has no capacity for sonship." What Jesus meant was that the man was not of normal mind, that he lacked the ability to respond to Spirit leading.
这一篇我们提到就是耶稣谈到这个有关遗传学，就是有个故事，就最后他们抵达了那不拉斯，当感觉他们离开他们的目的地罗马不远时，甘纳德就当时一个印度之父，在那不勒斯有许多事情要处理。就是甘纳德他雇佣了耶稣当他的翻译。他说，除了需要耶稣作为口译者的时间之外，耶稣跟甘尼德就是甘纳德的儿子花了他们闲暇时间造访探索这个城市。甘尼德就是非常善于看到那些有需求的人，他们在这个城市发现了许多贫困，然后并发放了许多施舍金，但是甘尼德却不了解，耶稣在他给一个街头乞丐硬币之后，耶稣拒绝停下来向这个人说话，说点安慰他的话。他不了解这是什么意思，然后耶稣就说：“为何对一个无法感知你所说话语义含义的人浪费话语在他身上呢？父之灵无法教导和拯救一个没有能力接受自己是神之子民身份的人。”然后耶稣的意思是，这个人不具有正常心智，他缺少回应灵性引领的能力。
Remember that the brain in the skull is different than the mind. And the neuroscientist Dan Siegel from UCLA says, what connects the brain and the mind is our relationships. And so Jesus was always looking for people who had the capacity to understand that they were a son or daughter of God.
说我们头脑不一样，就是在有一个大概是 UCLA 一个神经学家就说，连接我们大脑跟我们心智的是我们的关系。就是耶稣在寻找有能力了解他自己是上帝的子女的人，就是要把这种关系连接起来。
So, multi-level natural selection, variation, and heredity are the essence of evolutionary theory. Like Copernicus, Sir Isaac Newton, and Lavoisier before him, Charles Darwin was able to see into the mind of God a law which governs the unfolding of the universe toward perfection.
这边想到这达尔文，他说就像在他之前的哥白尼跟牛顿爵士以及拉瓦杰一样，查尔斯·达尔文能够在神的心智中看到一条支配着宇宙本身朝着完美方向发展的法则，就是可能讲到达尔文的进化论这样子。
So variety is indispensable to opportunity for the wide functioning of natural selection, differential survival of superior strains.
这边我们之前有提到过，就是多样性是为自然选择、优良血统的差别性续存和广泛运作提供了必不可少的机会。
So variety, again, is another word for diversity. And diversity is at the heart of the principles which govern the entire universe.
就是多样性，跟我们刚才提到那个 diversity， 也是类似多样性，就是这是支配整个宇宙的一个核心。
So this is from Charles Darwin. I have called this principle by which each slight variation, if useful, is preserved by the term natural selection.
这句话是来自达尔文，他说：“我把这一原则称为自然选择。根据这一原则，每一个微小的变异，如果是有用的话，都会被保留下来。”
Again from Charles Darwin, as natural selection works solely by and for the good of each being, all corporeal and mental endowments will tend to progress toward perfection.
这句话也是来自于查尔斯·达尔文，他说：“由于自然选择完全是为了每个存在的利益而运作，因此所有的身体和心智禀赋都将趋向于完美。”
So Charles Darwin was originally a very religious person, but the church beat him up for thinking that we were evolved from monkeys. You see, the Sun King, Journey to the West, one of my favorite novels. Charles Darwin got in big trouble for believing that we evolved from monkeys.
他说：“达尔文本来是一个非常虔诚的一个教会的人，可是教会就是对他应该说很有意见，就对了，因为达尔文提出就是说我们是从猴子演化而来的。然后刚才卡尔教授说他对我们东方这个《西游记》是很有兴趣的。卡尔教授本身也写了有关《西游记》方面的书。就是达尔文就是因为他相信我们是从猴子演化而来的，然后遭到教会的打压。
So I've written a whole book on the journey to the West, which is the story of Monkey. You all know this story? It's a Chinese story.
Yeah, for sure. 他说，就是他写了一本有关《西游记》的书。他问我们是不是都知道《西游记》这个故事？我说，对，我们都应该所有人都知道这个故事。
So sometimes I think I'm more like a monkey than a human.
就说有时候他觉得他比较像猴子，并不像人类。
So we continue. That no generally applicable law of the formulation and development of hybrids has yet been successfully formulated can hardly astonish anyone who is acquainted with the extent of the task and who can appreciate the difficulties with which experiments of this kind have to contend.
这里是孟德尔讲的话，孟德尔就是我们知道，就他做一些有关遗传性的实验非常有名，就是豌豆的杂交之类的。所以孟德尔就说，没有普遍适用的关于杂交体的形成与发展的规律，被构想出来。这几乎不会让任何熟悉这项任务范围以及能够理解此类实验所面临困难的人感到惊讶。我觉得他这个主要讲说，因为实在太复杂，所以就算没有什么东西被构想出来，大家也会觉得很正常。Okay.
So Gregor Mendel was one of the great hereditary scientists, and he suggested through his work with vegetables that hybridization was very important. And that's exactly what the Urantia book says. Diversity brings hybridization, the bringing together of the races.
就是我刚才有提到，就是孟德尔就对蔬菜做了很多杂交的实验，然后说这跟预览下提到的多样性是非常吻合的，因为多样性也就是代表我们有很多种族嘛，3个种族、6个种族，就是多样性的杂交，就是将不同种族混在一起，然后就是强调我们这个多样性的重要。
So what if, as a parent, you could prevent a terminal disease in your child? Would you?
就是作为父母，如果你可以预防孩子患上绝症，你会这么做吗？
So this technology, you may know, is here now. So the mission of the second epochal revelation to improve biological evolution is here now with in vitro fertilization.
就是你们可能大家都知道的这项技术，就是在这个第2纪元的启示的使命有一项就是体外人工受精的技术。
So in vitro fertilization will be the healthcare of the future, where we prevent disease rather than treating disease.
就是这种技术，就是说，在未来医疗保健上是非常重要的，就是我们会预防疾病，而不是我们去治疗疾病。
So you may know of CRISPR-Cas9, which is a primitive technology, but it's getting better, where you can clip a difficult gene from the gene pool to avoid or prevent a terminal disease in your child.
就说这是一个医学技术，就是说这个有关联蛋白9剪刀这个东西。他说这个技术虽然是非常非常的原始、非常新，可是现在已经变得越来越好了。他说这个技术就是说我们可以从基因的一个基因群里面、基因库里面剪辑一些比较不好的基因，然后这可以预防我们孩子得到某种疾病。
So, as a parent, you could prevent a terminal disease in your child, would you? So this is an individual who had a genetic scan which showed a medium to high risk of atrial fibrillation, a median risk of stroke, a median risk of rheumatoid arthritis, a median risk of schizophrenia, a high risk of type 2 diabetes, a median risk of MS and Parkinson's disease, and a high risk of prostate cancer. So again, as a parent, if you knew that, would you apply this technology to avoid your child from having cancer in the future?
这里就是继续问到说，如果你能够预防你的小孩得到一些疾病，你会这么做吗？然后接下来这7项是针对某一个人，他们目前技术可以做一些基因扫描，就他基因扫描出来的结果就是有以下这些症状，我就不一一叙述了。然后就是这是根据基因扫描出来的结果。然后卡尔重点就是说，当你知道如果你有这些这种症状的话，那如果你能做某些事情，让这些东西不遗传下去，你会去做这件事情吗？ 因为我们现在有这个技术了。
So imagine the reduction of healthcare costs if we could do this in vitro. Imagine the longevity of the life of the individual if we could treat these potential diseases. Imagine the well-being of culture if these diseases were no longer creating tragedy in families.
所以我们可以想象一下，如果我们愿意去做这个技术对我们带来的好处，就是说，在医疗保健上面，我们可以减少多少的降低多少成本。然后，如果我们能够把这些东西都预防的话，我们人类的寿命会变成怎么样？那对整个人类文化的福祉来讲，如果没有一些家庭悲剧的话，这些对我们人类文化的福祉会有什么样的影响？
So these were the results of a genetic scan that were taken of an individual who was 63 years old. He was a male, and it was me.
刚才我们讲到，就是说这是对某个个体做的一个基因扫描。啊，他说这个是一个63岁的男性，那就是 God 本身，就是他的扫描结果。
So last July 2021, I was at UCLA Hospital, and I spent a long time in recuperation having my prostate taken out of my body.
就是在讲说 God 教授去年7月的时候，他在 UCLA 的医院，就是美国加州的医院那边花了很长的时间休养，因为他将他这个前列腺从他身体上移除。
So my doctor told me that I was high risk of dying from what I had, the prostate cancer, if I didn't have it out. So imagine if we could have treated that when I was in embryo.
就说高尔教授说，他的医生告诉他说，你因为这个前列腺炎，你很有可能会死掉。然后他就要让我们大家想象一下，如果在他的胚胎他还是胚胎的时候，就可以把这个前列腺这个潜在可能性移除的话，将会是对他来说会是多好的一件事情。
So not everybody can afford a genetic scan. Not everybody can afford cancer surgery. Imagine again at a very low cost if all of this could be dealt with before the child was born.
他说现在我们其实也知道，就是这些都是蛮新的技术，所以它的价格都还不便宜。他说并不是每个人都负担，就是做这个扫描，也不是每个人都能负担有关这个癌症的手术的费用。可是他说可以想象一下，如果这些事都可以在未来达到，在我们小孩出生前都能达到的话，就是大家可以想象一下会是多美好。
So if you wouldn't act to eliminate a terminal disease in your child, please see me after the class.
高尔教授就是通常，因为我也有上过他的课嘛，他通常就会说，如果例如这个例子，他说，如果你不会采取任何行动来消弭你孩子的绝症的话，请在课后来找我。他的意思就是说，你一定有什么问题，请到课后来，我们好好的谈一谈。
So in the book called Hacking Darwin, which I recommend, Jamie Metzel, who is a member of the President's Council, said, we now have all the tools we need to alter the genetic makeup of our species. The science is in place. The realization is inevitable. The only variables are whether this process will fully take off a couple of decades sooner or later, and what values we will deploy to guide how the technology evolves.
这边提到一本书叫做《骇客达文》，就是高尔强烈推荐大家，可以的话可以去读一下这本书。那他的作者杰米梅芝尔，他说现在也是在这个 总统委员会里面的成员之一。然后这个作者提到说，我们现在拥有改变我们物种基因构成所需要的所有工具，科学已经就位，实现是不可避免的。唯一的变数是，这个过程是否会在未来几十年内完全起飞，以及我们将采用什么样的价值观来指导技术的发展。
The principles of Darwinian evolution are themselves mutating. From this point onwards, our selection will not be natural. It will be self-designed. Our species will take active control of our evolutionary process by genetically altering our future offspring into something different from what we are today. Going forward, we will be driving this process like never before through our technology, hopefully guiding by our best values.
接下来的也是从这个骇客达尔文这本书，然后是这作者提到的。他说，达尔文进化论的原则本身也在发生变异。从这一刻开始，我们的选择将不是自然的，它将是一种自我设计的。我们的物种将主动控制我们的进展过程，通过在基因上改变我们未来的后代，使其与今日的我们不同。展望未来，我们将以前所未有的方式，通过我们的技术推动这一过程，希望能以我们最佳价值观为指导。他这边出题就是说，这些技术都是要根据我们的价值观来指导它。
So the Urantia book says, in approaching any problem, it's important to know the origin of the problem, the history of the problem, and have some idea as to destiny.
约翰夏之书说，在解决任何问题的时候，我们非常重要要知道这个问题的根源是什么，然后还有一些它的历史是什么，以及它的天命是什么。
Given the inevitability of this novel genetic engineering technology, what is the responsibility of those who hold and trust the fifth epochal revelation, articulating the spiritual values by which the universe is governed?
他说，考虑到这种新型基因工程技术的必然性，那些相信第五纪元启示、阐明支配宇宙的灵性价值的人的责任是什么？
So maybe at a future time, Eric and Richard and Vicky, we could have a class on the spiritual values by which the universe is governed. Up to you. We could talk about what the true nature of religion is. But what I feel is that we have this revelation to help understand the values which will guide this technology.
就是高尔教授刚才又很好的，就是他提供他的 offer， 就是他想要，就是如果我们有兴趣的话，他可以就是针对有关支配宇宙这个灵性价值，然后宗教真正的本质是什么？因为他说这个启示，这些启示对指导这些未来的技术是非常重要的。然后如果大家有兴趣的话，他可以再安排为我们做这些讲座。Thank you, God.
Genetic engineering without moral insight lacks compassion. Genetic engineering without spiritual attainment lacks wisdom. Genetic engineering without shared cultural values and an awareness of our common humanity may be dangerous at worst and misguided at best.
这里提到就是说，没有道德洞察力的基因工程将会缺乏同情心，没有灵性达成的基因工程是缺乏智慧的。基因工程若没有共享的文化价值观和一种对我们共同人性的觉知， 在最坏的情况下可能是危险的，在最好的情况下也可能是会被误导的。
So the Urantia book says there are two activities which should guide our life. One is to increase our moral insight, how we relate to people and to non-human species and to creation. Two is our spiritual attainment, which is how we relate to the spiritual influences, the light within each of us.
他说这边预览下提到有2种活动，是来指导我们生活的。一种是增加我们的一种道德的洞察力，就是我们要跟如何与人类或甚至是说非人类的物种要怎么去跟他们做联系，然后创造。然后第2种就是说我们跟这个灵性存有对我们的影响，然后对我们的关系，然后它启发我们心中的光，然后这方面的活动我们也是必须要去做的。
As one can see from the news of our planet in Russia, Ukraine, and China, so many places, we have a lot to learn about morality and spiritual attainment.
就是说，刚才讲到就是有关道德跟这个灵性达成，就是说，我们目前在我们地球上，我们就可以看到，很多战争情况，像俄罗斯跟乌克兰，然后我们就是必须在这个道德跟灵性的达成上面，还有很多学习的地方。
The Urantia book, the fifth epical revelation, provides the wisdom, the compassion, and the cultural sensitivity needed to help inaugurate the new chapter in civilization upon the planet. The question is, how may we, with God's help usher in this new chapter of civilization?
这边提到《预览夏之书》，就是第5纪元的启示，提供了帮助开启地球文明新篇章所需要的智慧、同情心和文化的敏感性。那现在问题就是说，在神的帮助下，我们可以如何帮助开启这个新的篇章？
As a teacher of Buddhism, I appreciate that without wisdom, prajna, and compassion, karuna, there can be no love.
就是说，作为这个佛，因为盖尔有在教有关佛教，他说作为佛教的老师，他非常明白，就是没有智慧也没有慈悲的话，那就是没有爱了。
So, any thoughts?
大家有什么想法、问题、意见之类的
or questions?
问题？我看蛮
在那个
多问题。
chat window 有几个问题。第一个问题是说，亚当违约哪些失误造成了哪些后果？
Okay, so
亚当那些失误造成哪些后果？
So we mentioned that the second epoch is the Adam's default, right? So what consequence of this default result?
The consequence is that we are not a normal planet. The consequence is that 35,000 years ago, we would have had representative government. We would have had equality of men and women. We would have had stable genetic evolution. We would have had a quality of peace and spiritual awareness on the planet that we're not even close to.
他说这个结果就是说，如果35000年我们这些亚当违约没有发生的话，我们将会有一个很好的一个代议制的政府。我们的男女会平等，然后我们会有一个非常稳定的基因进化，然后我们会充满了和平，然后我们 的精神意识都会达到一种平等的状态。然后我们这个星球会变成是个非常先进的星球，其他星球甚至没有办法跟我们比较。Okay.
So 35,000 years ago, there would have been an end to war. There would have been no more war. There would have been an end to violence. There would have been an end to domestic abuse. There would have been an end to child abuse. There would have been an end to dictators.
就说如果这些都没有这些问题的话，35000年我们就已经不会有所谓的战争，也不会有所谓的暴力，或是各种家庭虐待啊、儿童虐待，也不会有所谓的什么独裁者。
Most importantly, 35,000 years ago, all of the humans on the planet would have a very large smile.
我说最重要的一点就是说，35000年以前，我们地球上所有的人都会充满着一个非常大的一个笑容。
This was Confucius's frustration as he wandered China for 13 years, trying to find a prince who would listen to his principles of goodness and of morality and of spiritual attainment.
就是说，他提到，孔子，因为高尔教授对东方文学非常有研究，他就说，这就是为什么我们都知道孔子在中国流浪了13年，他说他就试图找到一个君主，能够听他讲有关道德、灵性成就这些事情。
So in my class on Thursday, last night, I told them about a band, and the lead singer of the band was Confucius, and the primary guitarist was Lao Tzu, and the drummer was Buddha, and the bass guitarist was Jesus, and they were singing the song, "All You Need Is Love."
所以高尔教授就是说，他昨天晚上有一个课，他就说他告诉他的学生有一个乐团，然后乐团的主唱是孔子，然后吉他手是老子，然后鼓手是佛陀，然后贝斯手是耶稣，然后他们在唱一首英文歌，它叫做 "All You Need Is Love"， 就是你所需要的就是只是爱。
This is why Jesus studied the great religions, because they all say the same thing, but we're a little stupid.
他说就是为什么就是耶稣也研究各个宗教，然后他说其实每个宗教都是在讲一样的事情，只是我们自己有点愚蠢。
So we have the fifth epic of Revelation, the Urantia book, because our spiritual overseers, our spiritual friends, the angels, said we are in an emergency because we have nuclear weapons.
他说我们有这第五纪元的启示，就是预言家这本书。他说因为我们有许多灵性的朋友，像天使之类的。他说因为我们现在在处于一个非常紧急的状态，因为我们有那个核子武器。
In the fall of 1983, there was a Soviet colonel in Moscow whose radar malfunctioned, and he saw what he thought were missiles coming toward Russia. And he heard a voice behind him. Nobody was there. A voice behind him who said, "Do not share this message." And he did not. And he did not know whether he was in trouble for hearing voices or not passing the message. But had he passed the message in the fall of 1983, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
他说在1983年的时候，就是在有个俄罗斯的像雷达观测员，就是在军事方面，他就是看到军事上面好像有个像雷达的东西，然后像一个飞弹的东西，然后那个他同时在他后面也听到一个声音，就说不要把你听到的声音讲出去，然后他没有讲出去，他说 他不知道他是要他反正重点就是说，他如果在1983年他把他听到声音讲出去的话，我们可能就没有这个对话。这个意思可能就是说，当初那个核弹可能就爆发，因为这个可能暗示说那个天使有在帮助我。对。
So as I said earlier, we live in a friendly universe, and the universe, the beings in the universe are deeply concerned about the welfare of the people of this planet.
就像我们之前提到，就是我们是生活在一个友好的宇宙中，然后宇宙中的许多宇宙的生命都非常非常关心我们这个星球上的人的福祉。
So any more questions, Eric or Richard?
来，下一个问题是那个他问到说，最近的新闻报道都有说到 Google 跟 Facebook 开发的高级人工智慧发现自我意识，所以有2个问题。第一个问题是，将来有一天具有自我意识的超级人工智慧有可能进入灵性进化发展吗？第二个问题是，超级人工智能又将对人类灵性进化有什么样的影响？
Okay. So I think we saw the news recently. I think the Google and Facebook, they are developing the artificial intelligence. And I think the news said they found the robot or whatever they developed, they found the self-consciousness. They found they have a self-consciousness. So they have 2 questions. So first one is we are those self-consciousness of those artificial intelligence. Is it possible to change our spiritual evolution?
It's a very interesting question. What I would say is that the artificial intelligence is self-consciousness on a material level, but the spiritual dimension of being a human is unique to the human species.
就是说，就 Gall 教授就他的了解，就是这些人工智慧应该是在有关物质层面上面的。那这个有关灵性这个角度上的话，应该是人类独有的才对。So you don't think it's possible they will those artificial intelligence will become like the spiritually involved?
No,
So they were limited in the material level.
no, because we have what's called personality, and personality is unique to each of us, and it is the gift of the Universal Father. So we will meet each other after this life, but you will not see that robot after this life.
就是我刚刚问高尔就说，所以他不相信这些所谓的 AI 智慧的意识会进展到灵性层次。然后高尔教授说，对，他不相信，他说因为我们每个人都有一个人格体，那这个是人工智慧所没有的。然后这是我们这个人格体是神的礼物。然后我们在这个地球结束之后，我们会在别的地方遇到。可是他不相信我们会在别的地方遇到所谓人工智慧的机器人。
So personality has 3 attributes. It has self-consciousness. So AI gives you some level of self-consciousness, if you will, of looping information internally that can be processed. That is some level of self-consciousness. But the second level is self-direction, which is making moral choices and choosing to grow spiritually. This AI will not be able to do. And the last piece is that each of us is unique. There is no other Richard in the entire universe. Trillions of beings, but Richard is the only one. Karen is the only one. Vicky is only one. And this is the diversity of the universe. The robot does not carry that quality of identity, of spiritual identity. But we will see each other. I will see each of you. You will see me on the other side of this life.
高尔教授主要是说，人格体有3个属性。第一个属性就是说，我们这是具有自我意识的。他说，他认为人工智慧是我们不断将一些讯息重复的输入给他，那他最多就是到那种程度的意识就对了。然后第二个人格体的属性就是说自我的自我的引导，自我的成长，就是我们会去选择，我们有选择成为更好，在灵性上面选择成为更好灵性存有的这个能力就对了。那第3个就是说是一种独特性，就是刚才一样重复，我们刚才每一个人都是非常独特的，就是我们只有独特的像 Richard 像我每个都是非常像每个人都是非常独特的。然后他不认为这个人工机器人会有这个特质就对了。
I just want to take a moment to thank you, Eric, for your incredible work and translation. You are a gift to all of us, and I just wanted to thank you. Eric has been in my classes at the University of Nevada, and he's my brother.
Thank you.
尬的教授在谢谢 Eric 的翻译非常的好，然后他也是教授的一个很重要的学生，然后每堂课都很认真的上课。
And Eric, if you're my brother, there's the rest of the family there.
Oh, monkey. Look like me, yes.
教授说 Eric 是我的兄弟，然后他就让他看到后面他所有兄弟的照片全部都是猴子。
就是去年Vicky 就是介绍，就说卡尔教授有一些课，他就介绍我们去上，所以我跟一些朋友像 Karen 就去上他的课。那我们上他课，我大概上了2个课还是他3个课，就是他上课真的非常非常有趣，然后就像演讲的时候，也就是充满了非常多的知识，然后又非常有趣，所以我非常 enjoy 他的课。那我希望大家有机会的话是可以上他的课，不过他就是没有翻译，他都是讲英文，因为他是跟其他人一起上，就是有机会的话是可以上，我觉得还蛮不错的。OK，
我们还有2个问题哈，然后我先讲那个秦叶的问题，他说，耶稣来到地球宣扬无条件的爱，但是他在事迹上对爱的付出却展现出条件式的状态，所以对于无条件的爱中是存有何种条件呢？
Okay, so we just discussed the story, right, about Jesus on the generic. So the story sounds like Jesus come to us to present the unconditional love. But in that particular story, it sounds like in the market, right, it looks like there's a conditional love, not unconditional love, because that person may not be able to accept his concept. So there's a conditional love. So could you explain a little bit?
Yeah, no, this is a very good question. So it's a question of what does unconditional love mean? So unconditional love means that we love each other without any conditions. Jesus loved that individual without any conditions, but he also saw that that individual was not capable of having a conversation about spiritual matters. So it wasn't that he was being mean. He was just saying, as I would say, I don't know Chinese very well. I know Nin Hao and Xie Xie, but not much more. And so again, having a conversation with me in Chinese would be very, very difficult. And for Jesus to have a conversation about spiritual matters with this particular individual would be very, very difficult. Okay. Not that he did not love him. He loved him unconditionally.
首先，刚刚说这是个非常非常好的问题。然后，首先我们必须要了解什么叫做无条件的爱。而无条件的爱就是说，我们没有条件的彼此爱着对方。那 for sure 那个 耶稣是无条件的爱的那个人，可是问题是说他也看到了那个人并没有能力去跟耶稣讨论有关灵性上面的对话，所以不是说耶稣他很刻薄，就像说高尔教授说他的中文他就大概只能说你好或其他几句话，所以他们没有像高尔就没有办法跟我们进行很长的对话，就是类似这个对比，就是说他知道他没办法跟那个人进行有关灵性上面的对话，可是耶稣还是爱那个人，他只是没有办法跟他进行灵性上面的对话。
So some of you are mothers or fathers, and when your child is 6 months old, you cannot have a very good conversation about Buddha because he just doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand. She has no capacity for understanding, but that does not mean that we don't love that child unconditionally.
就是高尔又提了另外一个例子，就是说我们很多人有些是父母的，当你的孩子只有6个月大的时候，你很难去跟他谈论佛陀，因为他不会理解这个佛陀，就是他没有这个理解佛陀这个能力就对了。可是这并不代表你不爱你这个小孩，你还是无条件爱你的小孩，只是你不会去跟他谈论佛陀，或是你不会去跟他谈论你认为他不了解的事情。
So the most important thing for each of us is to experience ourselves as unconditionally loved. That is the #1 article of the Bill of Rights of the universe. And so maybe at some point we could have a session on how do we experience that unconditional love? And we could talk about some things, some approaches. But that unconditional love is guaranteed to each and every one of us. And if we're not experiencing it, it's because we haven't learned, like the little baby, how to have that engagement.
他说，对我们每个人来说，最重要的就是我们必须去体验这个无条件的爱，就是我们被无条件的爱，然后我们去无条件爱别人，就是我们最重要就是要去体验它。这就是我们刚才讨论有关这个宇宙权力宣言的第1条，就是去体验这个无条件的爱。那高尔教授又很好的就是提供说，如果我们有兴趣的话，也许我们可以针对这个如何体验无条件的爱来做个讨论。就是他说，如果我们中间有些人就是应该说，就像我或者许多人都还没有经历到这个无条件的爱的话，就是说我们可能还像是那个小孩子一样，小 baby 一样，我们并没有了解怎么去参与这个无条件的爱。Okay.
And the second article of the Bill of Rights of the universe is that we all have a right to belong. It doesn't matter if you're my niece, Nicole, you have a right to belong. It doesn't matter if you're the smartest person in the world, whoever you are, you have a right to belong compassionately. And so this is what we learn from Jesus. This is what we learn from Buddha. This is what we learn from the band. All you need is love.
就说刚才就提到刚才讲这个宇宙权力宣言的第2条，就是说我们有权利是被富有同情心的去被拥有就对了。就是这个事情是我们从不管从基督、从耶稣、从任何地方我们学到，就是说我们都有权利被拥有，有同情心的拥有。就他刚才就讲到，他刚才举那个例子，就是那个乐团唱的那首歌，就是我们所需要的就是爱。
And the third article of the Universe Bill of Rights is that each of us has Buddha nature. Each of us has a spiritual light inside of each of us. And as a teacher of mine said one time, if we could truly see that light, the problem would be that we would fall down and worship each other.
然后就讲到刚才提的宣言的第3条，就是说 我们每个人其实都是有佛性的，就是我们每个人的内心都有灵性之光。然后他就说他有一个朋友跟他的或是他的老师就说，我们如果能够看到我们心中那个灵性之光的话，我们就会互相的敬拜彼此。
So our work is to cultivate the light within us and to see the light in each other.
而我们的工作就是说，我们必须要好好培养我们心中的那个内在之光，然后同时也要看到对方的内在之光。
And even in a very difficult world, we will be able to smile.
即便如果我们能够这样做的话，即便我们在非常困苦的艰难的世界，我们也可以微笑。
我们的问题越来越多了。We have more and more questions now. OK， 我们现在有2个问题。第一个问题是从 Cindy 这里来，他有3个问题。第一个问题是问教授说，他对于达尔文的进化论是给予几分？所以这是给教授的一个问题。另外一个是问到说，那亚当跟夏娃在地球上活了多久？他们死了之后灵魂到哪里去？又回到地球来轮回吗？然后第3个问题是35000年前的文明是属于第几次元的世界？然后是否还有一些遗迹留在地球上？麻烦 Eric。
Okay, so I think there are three questions. 第一个是什么？
第一个是教授对达尔文的进化论打了几分。
So first question is we know the Charles Darwin the evolution theory, right? So if you are a professor, you grade him about this theory. What grade you will give him?
Charles Darwin?
Yeah.
A++.
他说 A 加加。Why?
Because evolution is probably the most important theory for us to understand. And when we understand evolution, we understand that we are each evolving. And when we understand that we're each evolving and we're having difficulties, we understand that our only response to each other can only be compassion. And when our response is compassion, then we begin to learn wisdom. And when our learning of wisdom emerges, a smile emerges.
我说为什么教授给他 A+ A 加呢？他说因为进化论可能是我们要理解的最重要的一个理论。他说当我们理解进化论的时候，我们就知道其实我们每个人都在进化，对了。所以当我们会发现每个人都在进化，所以并不是只有我在进化，也不是只有我会遇到困难。所以当我们理解这个的话，我们就会知道每一个人都会遇到困难。这样的话，我们就会用比较同理心、同情心，会比较具有慈悲。那从此我们会演化出我们的一些智慧，对不对？就是从这个慈悲心会演化出我们一些智慧。那透过这个智慧，我们就会发现我们每个人脸上就会带着微笑，这样子。
So for the last 2.5 years during the pandemic, I have delivered food every week to people who are sick and who do not have access to food. And I have learned in the last 2.5 years that the only possible response that I can have to everyone, and I mean everyone on the planet, is compassion. There may be some people I don't want to be the president of my United States. There may be some people who I don't think are very nice people, but it's usually because those people do not understand their own evolution and have had significant trauma. And because of that trauma, I can be compassionate.
就是高尔的教授说，在最近的例子，就是过去这2年，我们大家都经历这个COVID-19 这个 这个 COVID-19 这件事情。他说他过去这2年在这个大流行中，他每周都会主动为那些生病的人提供免费的食物，因为这是他觉得他可以对其他人做出他的回应，对不对？他的意思说，每个人都应该具有这样的同情心。但是我们有时候会对某些人有些成见，会觉得他可能不适合当总统，或是你会觉得这个人不是很好的人。他说我们会这么想，通常是因为我们不了解他自己经历过的进化就对了。然后说那些人可能有遭遇了某些重大的创伤。那如果我们能够更富有同情心的话，我们就会更能够理解他们，然后更对他们付出爱，这样子。OK。
那第二个问题，
第二个是，
就是亚当跟夏娃在地球上活了多久？他们死后灵魂去哪里？还回到地球轮回吗
？So second question is, how long did Adam and Eve live on Earth, and where did they go? Did their soul go after they die? Are they still on the Earth?
No. Their mission to the planet, the second epical revelation, failed fairly quickly. And they became more like us after that failure. There was a place called the Tree of Life, which gave them light and sustenance, where they could have lived for a very long time. But they probably, I don't remember exactly the number of years, they probably lived over 100 years, but they died and they are in heaven, and they're actually, Adam and Eve are very different than the first epical revelation. Adam and Eve were very sad that they had done what they did. And so there was forgiveness is always available in the universe. And so Adam and Eve are very important people for our planet right now. They're part of a council which helps guide our planet, as Richard knows.
他说 Richard 可能对这个很了解，然后不过他说基本上说，亚当跟夏娃他们是在这个我们刚才提的这个第二个纪元的启示嘛，他们说这个事实上很快就失败了。他们失败之后就变得更像我们自己这样子，就像我们这样子。可是他们需要光，所以他们就住在一个叫做生命之树的地方，在那边生活。因为他们需要那边来的光，然后他们在那边生活他说大概超过了100多年，他不是很确定，就是大概超过100多年之后，他们就死了，他们现在在天堂。然后他说亚当跟夏娃跟第一纪元的失败是非常不同的，因为他说亚当跟夏娃他们对他们自己所做出的事情非常感到类似后悔跟难过。然后他说宇宙中总是充满着宽恕。所以因为他们自己非常的后悔嘛，所以充满了就对他们有非常大的宽恕。然后他们现在在天堂，对我们这个星球是非常重要的，因为他是在天堂某个理事会里面，然后他在那个理事会里面，目前在帮助跟指导我们地球上的一些事物这样子。
I can add a little bit about this explanation. 我来解释一下，就是说是关于这个盖教授讲一些内容，就是说是他提到的是说亚当夏娃确实是在世上存活时间没有那么久，他们在目前来说就是说是他们当时是超过了他们活的年龄超过100多岁，他们当时是在伊甸园的时候，当时是有一个生命之树在那里，当时他们因为他们这个使命失败之后的话，他们原来是依靠生命之树的果实可以让他们长生不老，但是后来这个生命之树在他们的使命失败之后的话，这个生命之树被其他的野蛮族类给摧毁掉了。所以说他们离开伊甸园之后的话，他们在世上存活了超过100多年之后的话，然后他们就是说是离开之后，他们返回到就是说是所谓的天堂，就是说我们的原来那个系统一个总部的。 在系统总部那个地方的话，他们是有一个专门一个管理地球的24元委员会，他们专门有一些对我们地球进行一些支持和管理的人员在那边，就是说协助地球的发展。他们是24元委员会当中的其中2员。
Exactly.
好，第3个问题就是35000年前的文明是第几次元的世界？是否还有任何遗迹遗留在地球上？
第几次元的世界
Which dimension?
So the question is the 35,000 years ago, the civilization is which dimension? Do we know which dimension?
In the earth.
As Vicky says, I'm only familiar with 3 dimensions.
然后像 Vicky 总是回答就说我只熟悉第3次元的东西这样子。
But they were visible. They're on the island of Cyprus in the Mediterranean. They had a very special garden, and they had it was the most beautiful garden that's ever been on the planet. But because of the default, it was no good. It was a problem.
这就刚好提到接下来他本来问说有什么遗址，那刚好就提到说这个遗址就是在塞浦路斯那附近嘛，有个美丽的花园。他说呢，可能是地球有史以来最美丽的花园，对不对？就是在那塞浦路斯附近。
这个我可以补充一下，这个说是，这个遗迹实际上是这样，就是说当时亚当和夏娃是确实是在那个中东那边的话有一个，就是说在塞浦路斯岛附近的有一个地方的话是创建，当时地球人类为它准备了一个伊甸园，就所谓的那个非常好、非常美丽的花园。但是说在这个历史当中的话，这个伊甸园经过一些破坏以后的话，它那个在一次火山爆发中的话沉入海底，所以说现在的遗址是在一个塞浦路斯岛附近的一个海底的一个遗址当中，现在是很少被人发现。
谢谢。然后最后一个问题是说，我们相信疫情的发生在地球是必须经过的清理净化的阶段。那前几天这位同学他有看到一个视频，他记录到说，当人类被困在家里之后，很多地方因为没有人类，空气变得更清新，植物开始生长，动物开始繁殖，所以呢，由此可见，人类不好的生活习惯跟人类的数量太多，创造了地球的灾难。但目前呢，中国政府可能还在推动鼓励第3胎的政策。那虽然它是依照国情制定的，但是它是否可以理解成这是一个不符合地球进展的一个需求？
So the last question is, so recently we have this, for past 2 years we have this pandemic, right? So, but many people notice during this pandemic, even people contained in the house, but we can find out the environment looks like the flowers growing, the animal is reproduction, the air pollution is become more little and little. So the question is like, are we too many people on the earth? And then there's a policy in China to encourage people to have a third child. So it's like encourage people to have more children. So does this policy kind of like against the natural law? Because it looks like if more people, it causes the environment damage.
Yes. So there's a biologist at Harvard named E.O. Wilson. And E.O. Wilson said, and I don't, Richard, to know your standard of living. If everybody on the planet were to have Richard's standard of living, we would need 4 more planets. So there is a stress upon the resources of the planet. So what we need is for all of the nations. So right now I have a project in Africa. It is called the Ubuntu Project. And Ubuntu means I am because we are because I am. It's a documentary. And I will tell you a story that will be in the documentary. There was a tree, the baobab tree. I'll show it to you.
我看我还是先翻译一下好了。
啊，
他说
This is the baobab tree. It's a very large tree. You can
Wow.
see the branches are very small, but the trunk is very big. So an anthropologist put a basket of fruit next to the baobab tree. And he told a group of children, the one who runs fastest to the basket of fruit gets the basket. And does anybody want to guess what the children did? They all held hands and they walked to the basket together. This is what Ubuntu means. The whole planet needs to hold hands, and we need to look at the resources of the planet, and we need to figure it out together, because nationalism, as the Urantia book says, is the greatest disease on the planet now, much more than a pandemic. Why? Because it creates us versus them. And when we have that, we have problems. The other thing the baobab tree in Africa suggests, because it's so large in the trunk, is that no one person, they say the baobab tree is like wisdom. No one person can put their arms around it. We need each other to hold each other's hand, to put our arms around what wisdom is. We need Russia, we need China, we need Europe, we need Africa, we need US, we need South America. We all need to come together to figure out how to make this work. But you're right, we are in a problem with respect to resources. There are 1 billion people now who, when they drink water, drink brown water, and it's diseased, and that's not right.
OK， 所以大概最开始是提到有一个哈佛的一个生物学家，他就说，因为每个人都有自己的生活水平嘛，就是大家都有一个生活水平的标准。他说，如果我们用我们自己这个生活水平的标准来看的话，我们需要在4个地球才能够容纳所有的人，就对了。就是基本上这个地球就是这资源不够。Anyway。因为我突然想到光刻，好像说地球资源不可能不够，不过 anyway 那是可能，反正接着就说，然后就说他们在这个非洲有个项目，就是说它叫做 IMB， 就是我就是我就是你们就是我们，就是这个意思。他说有一棵树，就对，刚才他给我们看那棵树，他说那个树旁边他们放了一篮的水果。然后就说谁先跑到这边来的话，谁就是可以先拿。结果他就让我们猜说，结果后来那些小孩子发生了什么事？他说那些小孩子最后是手牵着手一起走过来，所以并没有说哪个想要争先来拿到这个东西。他就说我们现在都很需要这个，就是大家必须要手牵手的共同来维护这个地球就对了。他说其实种族主义比这个大流行更加恐怖，因为种族主义总是区分你跟我，就是我跟你是不一样的，所以他说这个种族主义才是真正的大问题，对不对？他说这棵树，我们刚才也看到它下面的树干是非常非常粗的，他说没有一个人的手可以把它环抱这棵树，所以他说这个树也是一个算是这种智慧之树。他说你要环抱这棵树，需要每一个人手牵手才有可能把它环抱起来。然后就是讲到我们现在需要每一个国家都互相的帮忙，像中国，不管是俄罗斯、美国，就需要地球上每个国家都互相的帮助，我们才能够在这个地球上共同生存下去。所以他说这是非常非常重要的。
So my question to all of you is, would you like to do any more? Would you like to know about where we go after this life? Would you like to know about life after death? Would you like to know more about how the Urantia book looks at the religions of the world, specifically Buddhism or others? Would you like to know about what true religion is and the spiritual values which govern the universe? Would you like to know something about the nature of God and how God is portrayed in the Urantia book? You if you would like to continue, you just let me know, Eric and Richard and Vicky and Karen and Claire, just let me know what it is that you would like to hear about,
Sure.
because you're my new family.
So 刚刚教授就说，他现在就是问我们说，我们还有兴趣再多了解什么样的话题吗？就说例如我们死后去了哪里啊，然后多了解宗教啊，真正宗教的本质啊，然后支配这个我们刚刚提到这些支配这宇宙的一些精神啊，上帝的本质这些东西。就说如果我们对任何话题有兴趣的话，就是嘎拉教授非常乐意在为我们举办更多的讲座。所以因为嘎拉教授说，因为他把我们看成是他的一个新家人一样，所以我觉得嘎拉教授对我们实在是非常非常好。OK， 那我觉得就是 Vicky 跟大家可能会去收集资料，看大家对什么话题比较有兴趣的话，我们会再有之后的一些活动再跟大家公布。我相信是会有继续的，因为我觉得嘎拉教授实在是非常非常的热心。Okay, I think I just mentioned for sure I think audience would love to have more session coming. I mean, there's 100% sure. So, but which topic? I think Vicky, Richard, maybe the bank topic, yes. 然后是说 it's a Vicky.
There's love.
Maybe a concert, maybe yes. 然后就是我。
No, I serious. Pato Bantan, who is a very, very good singer, and he's in Africa doing my documentary. He would love to come on and share with you. Yeah, so, yeah.
OK， 我刚才只是开玩笑说，也许来一场演唱会，然后他说，真的哦，他有一个歌手在他非洲的时候，他会很开心到我们这边来为我们演唱。But anyway, I said, I think Vicky and Richard and more people will have a discussion and to find out which topic to follow. Okay, thank you, God, very much.
Yeah. Sheshe.
Thank you. So, and Vicky 或是谁还想要说什么吗？或是 Karen？
Vicky 你要再帮我们做个 close 吗？
因为毕竟这是这系列最后一场了。
我们过后讨论一下就可以，我们过后讨论下个主题要怎么就好。Okay. Well, thank you, God. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And my brother would like to hear this. If you can send me the recording, Eric or Richard or Vicky or Karen, I would like to send you my brother. He's the one who speaks Mandarin very well. He was sorry he was not here tonight. Okay.
No problem. I will send the mail to you.
Thank you. Sheshe.
Guard,
thank you.
Guard, this is Cindy. Guard.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to show you my camera. You see this picture?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I saw it in the background. Yeah, it's in my living room as well. So yeah, we share the same light. Yeah, we're enlightened by the same light.
Well, I look forward, I hope in 2024 to bring a number of students to Taiwan and to have a conference. And Richard's work on the translation is marvelous. And we look forward to sharing even more. So thank you all.
Thank you for the organizer. Thank you. And thank you, Guard. It's very inspiring.
Thank you all.
谢谢大家今天的参与。那我们今天的 session 就到这里咯。OK， 谢谢，拜拜。
拜拜，谢谢 Karen。